Hi guys, can you hear me well? Hi.
Đúng là cái gì ơi?
Nice to meet you guys. So, who's excited for Friday tomorrow, after which is the weekend? Are you? Sure, good one. But are you excited for Monday when you go back to work after the weekend?
Woo!
I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are. To be honest with you, I don't really have those feelings because ever since I started working, I've always worked the weekends. As a full-time English teacher, my main day works are the weekends and also evenings. So I don't really have those feelings, but I'm pretty sure I share with you something. The tiredness, the stress, and also sometimes lack of motivation to work. So I've always asked myself in the past, multiple times, sorry, if it wasn't for money, why would I have to go to work? I actually found the answer to this question, but very recently, only after 25 years on Earth. Before that, I've always thought that my life would just follow a standard route. But let me tell you what is the answer for this question first. So, I work to achieve a goal. Remember, this is important. Achieve a goal, which is a pursuit that makes me happy and proud. Let's go back to the standard route. I'm not sure if you guys are following this, but does anyone think that you would just finish school and then 4 years in university and then work for 2 years, get married, have kids, then go back to work, make as much money as you can until retirement? Ooh, I see some nodding in the audience. I love that. So this used to be my standard route. And I didn't even know why it is considered a standard one. So I did exactly that. I started working even before I graduated from university.
Next
Before I moved, even before I graduated from university. Right, so I still remember when I told my parents that I wanted to start working, they were so against it because they wanted me to focus on my studies instead. I fought so hard for my right to go to work back then, but now that I think about it, I don't even know why I wanted to work that bad. I guess it was just for fear of missing out because my friends out there were all having their first part-time job. And that's the start of 6 years working aimlessly. So it was always this cycle of work, more work, and work again. I didn't even have a day off. And from time to time, I would feel exhausted and even worse, sometimes completely unmotivated and burned out. I'm not sure if you've had this feelings, but you just want to run away to a faraway land so you can just escape all of your responsibilities and tasks and all the expectations from the people around you, right? So that was me. But at the end of the day, I just made myself to keep going on because I thought it's just a way of life. Everyone on earth is working, so there's no point complaining. There's nothing I can do about it. That's what I thought. But I actually thought it wrong. There's actually something we can do about it. The turning point for me was just this year. I went to my very first networking event, thanks to the invitation of my best friend. Before that, I was very comfortable and safe in my comfort zone, which is the educational environment I was in. My colleagues typically just talk about their busy schedule, their to-do lists, all the tasks, and how the students were behaving in class that day. So, I was used to that kind of energy. But when I went to my very first event, there was something different. The people here, they talked excitedly and enthusiastically enthusiastically about their job, about the motivations and inspirations they have for their work. And before I could get used to that energy and wrap my head around all that, I found myself being asked, why do you work? Why do you choose teaching? I couldn't reply. In my head, there was this sentence, I don't know, just for money. That sounds too shallow, I can't share that, right? So that moment, I felt extremely embarrassed. And that feeling of embarrassment actually was like a slap in my face. It's like a wake-up call for me to actually think about why I was doing what I was doing. So after going home from the event that evening, I decided that I would look for a purpose. Why I would go to work. I want to look for something that I would be proud and excited to share with everyone. Something that would free me from the meaningless cycle of work. So I struggled a lot. I don't think it's an easy route for you to go on, right? So there were a lot of questions going on in my mind, but I remember there's this conversation going back and forth in my mind. What do I like? What do I want in my work outside of money? I don't know. I don't actually know. So what can I do to know? I'm not sure either, but I can try. And that's when I started trying. I tried new things that I wouldn't typically do in my previous routine. And the first thing I did was going to more events, talking to new people, not only students and teachers. And then the second thing that I did was I took on another job. I became a specialist advisor at a marketing agency. And then I took on another job, which was an event coordinator. And then I enrolled myself in an online course at Harvard Business School Online in entrepreneurship. And let me tell you, that was crazy. I was barely home, and even when I was home, it was very late in the night. And I would stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning to finish my tasks and assignments. But let me tell you, I was not tired. I was happy and excited to step outside of my comfort zone, pushing my limits and exploring myself. Before that, I always thought that I could only become an English teacher. There's nothing else I could do. I always thought that I was completely an introvert who find it extremely hard to talk to strangers. And I always thought that I was a very boring person who would only talk about teaching English and learning English and nothing else. But I gradually realized that I can be extroverted if I needed to. And I could actually communicate and talk to the people at my events easily. And yeah, you can see me there. It's an event last month that I organized. And I started to realize that I felt differently about my work. I was no longer waiting to be home from work. I was actually excited to go to work. I was no longer dreading all the tasks and assignments because they were no longer tasks or assignments to me. It was something very interesting to do. And that's when I know what I want out of my job. It's happiness. I want to be happy. It's just that obvious, right? But being happy has never been a goal for me in my job. But now that I know that I want to be happy, what's next? That comes the next question. What can I do in my job or as my job that can make me happy? I'm not sure yet, so I keep trying. That's what I did. I kept doing my jobs. I kept meeting new new ideas, and just understand myself better. So that process repeated continuously until May this year, 2022. I was finally able to write down in my journal the career path that I wanted to pursue. I want to be an educator. Yes, an educator, not just a teacher. I want to talk to students. I want to share my knowledge, my experience, my viewpoints, but outside of the physical space of a classroom. And that's why I'm here. I think I want to be a speaker. And I've actually spoken at another TEDx event earlier this year. So I did that very happily. And another thing that I thought of, so how I can spread ideas to people, right? And that's how I started my blog. So leaveyourbox.com, not sure if you can see the link. It's very new. I just opened it last month. And this is one of the channels where I shared my unusual way of thinking so I can empower my audience to think differently, to step outside of their box, and to explore themselves just like how I did. And yeah, so at the moment, I'm still having 3 jobs. I'm an English teacher, blogger, and event coordinator. Yeah, I quit my job at the marketing agency. And I'm very happy. I'm happier than ever because I'm allowed to do what I find the most rewarding, which is spreading ideas and seeing people grow and benefit from my ideas. And I'm the happiest I've ever been because I know that I'm working to achieve my goal, which is a pursuit that makes me happy and proud and excited to share with everyone. So what can you take away from my story of finding the meaning in my job? Number 1, to stay motivated for your work, you have to feel happy about what you're doing, obviously. But if you don't know what makes you happy, you need to try new things that you've never done before. Step outside of your comfort zone. Really explore yourself and just don't follow the standard route all the time. And remind yourself, I want to be happy. Make happiness your goal. And when it's your goal and your desire, you'll find a way to make it happen. And that's how you find motivation to work. Thank you.